Network. Here's Jason Martinez, Brian Smith, and Chris Terrian.
That's right. It is Flyers game day. How about back-to-back matinees this weekend? It's a try and say this 3 times fast. Maybe I'll give you $1 if you can do it. Back-to-back Metro Division matinee matchups.
No, I'm good. Back-to-back Saturday afternoon matinee matchups.
Metro Division.
Metro Division.
Yeah. I forgot what you said as soon as you said
I just forgot what you said because it was too darn long.
Yeah.
All right, but real quick for the people out there, where are you guys located today?
We have relocated. We're up on the balcony now in the assembly room.
Can I actually tell you, Jason? I'll make it a really easy for you. Snow the goalie is on the opposite side of the wall we're on, where the organ player is, who's a terrific guy, by the way.
Okay.
So the organ player, if you could imagine him being sandwiched between our pregame show and Snow the goalie, that's exactly where we are.
We're making our own version.
And it's right where that elevator lets you off.
Correct. It's right here. So we're literally 10 feet from Snow the goalie, and the organ player's in between us.
Bundy, let me ask you right away. Is the balcony area up there now what's it called again? Sorry?
Well, we've got assembly room, and then the Bet River Sportsbook is kind of where we're at. We're on the edge of it, like right between the two.
We call it Snow the Goalie Sportsbook.
Yeah, there you go.
Because we were the only thing up here for a while, so we renamed it.
That's exactly why I want to ask the question. It is now one of the coolest places in the building, by the way.
So let me
buzzing up there.
Let me tell you this, guys, and the teams just came up for warm up. So let me tell you this: if I were a fan on the street and wanted to come to a game, I would sit nowhere but up here. Nowhere. It is the best. It's like a party inside a party. It's unbelievable up here.
Yeah, you can hang out with people, talk to them, watch a game, see everything develop. My buddy was at a game. My buddy Dave Moore was at a game a couple weeks ago.
Get some of these
up there with them. Awesome.
Yeah, you get some of these stinky Ranger fans up here though, because they can come here for a quarter of the price of what they'd pay to go to a game in New York. So they drive down here, buy our tickets, and pretend it's a home game. Hopefully, we teach them a lesson today.
Yeah, and that's the area that needs it. They're going to be in the building. There's nothing you can do about it because you're right. It's easier to go on the secondary market for them, and still you don't have to put a mortgage application in to buy a ticket like you do at the Garden. That's dumb. But so they'll be in the building today. But the best way to shut them up is for the team on the ice to take care of business. You guys said warm-ups underway. Is TK on the ice?
He is not.
He is not on the ice. I spoke to Danny coming up here, and he's ruled day-to-day, and they'll reevaluate after the game today for tomorrow in Pittsburgh. So that is day-to-day. If you were asking me what I thought, just speculative, it's probably like an opportunity to treat it today, but also have some prevention, too, to make sure it's feeling good before they decide on tomorrow. That would be the fairest statement to make. So 50-50 tomorrow. 0% today is my guess.
And this is one of those things where you got to be penny wise and pound foolish. You don't want to he's such an important player for you. Missing 1 or 2 games is so much more important than missing 10 or the rest of the way. That's the way you got to look at it, I guess.
Yeah, and Smitty, go ahead, jump in when you want. But I'll leave it to Brian here. But you're 100% right. So let's say TK's good to go today. And or you give him today off. And then he's like, you know what, I can play tomorrow. But then you re-aggravate it or make it worse. Then you're dealing with a 2 or 3 week injury. And so let's say it is today, and let's say it is tomorrow. A lot of it will probably just depend on what happens today, Brian, with the result of this game.
Yeah.
Is make no mistake about that.
And let's, Jason, we're looking at a situation now. We're at 25 games left, I think, 25, 26. I was looking at the schedule yesterday and kind of looking at what the Flyers have left in terms of the games where they should be able to take care of business and the games where they're playing some really, really good opponents, one of them being here today. If the Flyers can win the games where they're supposed to take care of their business with the teams that are below them in the standings, that gets them to 93 points. So that means they only need to steal maybe 2 or 3 games against the Rangers and the Bostons and whatever the world to get to that big 96, 97 mark that generally gets you into the playoffs. So if you're looking at the overall situation today, this is a Rangers team that if TK plays, maybe they still don't win it. And then, you're a little bit banged up going into a Pittsburgh game tomorrow that you do want to win. You want to go in there and take advantage of where the Penguins are right now. So I don't know if that goes into it or if that's just us overthinking it, but that's kind of where the Flyers are right now. They're in a good spot in terms of these last 8 weeks coming up, and they can be a little more choosy on their plan moving forward.
It'll be interesting too to see if they can actually put a maybe put a for sale sign on the backs of Sidney Crosby and of Jenny Malkin if with a loss tomorrow. Right?
It'll be fun tomorrow, no?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying, when does Pittsburgh say to themselves if they go to Crosby, like, do you want to retire here on a losing team, or do you want to try to go win a fourth Stanley Cup somewhere else? That's what I said. Put a for sale sign on their backs, because if the Flyers beat them tomorrow and they don't have that kind of success over this weekend, they're pretty much done. And I think they're done already. I do.
Yeah, I think their GM knows that too, Bundy. I agree with you. It's interesting. The Flyers have 3 games, including today's against the Rangers, 2 against Boston, 2 against Florida, 1 against Carolina, 2 against Toronto. That's their tough opponents. But they have performed really well against better teams. Matter of fact, the record is better against teams above them in the standings than it is the teams below them.
Yeah.
And I think this is the 5th time this season that the Flyers have faced, at the time of the game, the top team in points percentage in the NHL. That's the Rangers. That was Winnipeg on 1 occasion, Vancouver on 2 occasions. I think it was Boston when they took on them. They've fared well in this spot and had some success.
They have. And one of the things, Jason, one of the problems they've had here, to be honest with you, they've struggled at home beating really good teams. Go back 2 or 3 weeks, a month ago, maybe to Boston, an alumni weekend. It was not even a close game. Tampa Bay came in. I'm talking about top of the food chain kind of teams, So here at home, it hasn't been great, but they have an opportunity to change that narrative, and they've done that a lot this year. This team, they've changed a lot of people's opinions of them, a lot of narratives, and I think today will be no different. This will be a really, really big game, I think, mentally for the Flyers today, because I think it sets a tone for what this schedule is coming down the stretch, and it's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot coming at this team, some heavy, heavy games, meaningful, important games. One of the interesting things I was talking about with Danny before, and he said it as we've talked about it for a couple months now. He said one of the important things I think we have to start looking at is the fact that being in the position we're in, it's really easy staying there than it is trying to get in. And I was talking about that in terms of even like a 9th seed. You could be 2 points back in 9th seed, just think, I'll just win a couple games. It's not that easy. It's actually because everyone else starts playing each other, and that's where the problem lies. So I think talking to the GM today, he's pretty happy about where they're at and the fact that there's not a 5-team bottleneck, trying to get to the top of Mount Everest where everybody's jockeying for position and trying to get the lead horse. So that's where they're at, and I think that Danny knows that, and he knows that they're just a few wins away, I think, from really being able to say to themselves, hey, we are a playoff team. We're going to be a playoff team, but we need to continue playing the kind of hockey we played through the year to put us into this position.
And, to your point, too, Bundy, about this game here today and what it does for the Flyers' psyche, they've had some issues as of late with, the teams that bring in the elite talent. They've had issues with Kucherov. They have issues with Austin Matthews, things like that.
Pasternak.
They get Panarin today. And so this is a team that obviously is still learning, still getting better at containing talent like that. And I got to think that every time they play a game like this, hopefully they're getting a little bit better at it, because there's a lot of those guys coming in down the stretch.
There is. And, again, when you get an opportunity to play the top team in the Metro, try to make strides. He's trying to send a message to a team like this as well that, we're part of this race. And we, even though the Rangers, I believe, are they 12 points ahead, something like that, right after the win.
Like that. Yep.
That we want to make things interesting. I was on a team with the Philadelphia Flyers. I think it was maybe 99, maybe 2000, Jason, where we actually caught the Devils. We were down like 15 points to them with something like under 20 games. It was a crazy number. And we did. We caught them. And they fell apart a little bit, and it was an amazing comeback. We finished first in the conference that year. But so you have to think of things like that. But also, for me, if I'm the Flyer player right now, I'm not even looking at the Rangers. Yeah, I want to win this game today, but my goal is to stay in that top 3, right? And instead of forcing yourself, say, we got to catch the Rangers. You're probably not going to catch the Rangers, much like the Pittsburgh Penguins aren't going to catch the Philadelphia Flyers. So that's the reality of the where the points are in the standings and where these teams lie, as a matter of fact.
As they say in Formula One parlance, race the guys that you're racing. Don't race the guys and waste time racing the guys you're not racing.
Correct.
Let's take a timeout. I'm glad I got to throw an F1 little reference in there with it starting next week. I'm a little excited, as you can see. Let's take the break. We'll come back with more. It is Flyers game day. It's Flyers Rangers. We'll get Bundy's memories of Flyers Rangers from the years past
I've got some. Yep.
Back after this. Oh, I know you do. We're back after this on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network. All right, Smitty, it is now.
Okay, there you go. You're better now.
Dongle keeps loosening.
Yeah, I have that problem all the time. It happens with old age.
Dongles.
Just reading here on Twitter, guys, that the Billy Club has been reinstated in California.
Some good lemonade.
You didn't hear me all. That's the news on Twitter right now. How is what a world we live in?
Get your tickets at wingslax.com. This is the Fanatic Flyers pregame on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Back live at the Wells Fargo Center. It's the Flyers and the Rangers. Teams have faced each other one other time this season. It was a 3-1 Ranger win here at Wells Fargo Center. It's Jason Martinez, Brian Smith, and Chris Terry and Bundy. Let's draw back into the old memory banks. What do you remember of Flyers Rangers from your career? You guys played each other just so many times.
So I remember that 8-1 against the Rangers in playoff series. How about that?
Wow, holy.
So we beat them twice.
Yeah, that makes sense.
My fondest memory against the Rangers would have been 95 playoffs. They were the champs, and we went in there and just kicked their ass.
2 overtime
up
wins,
and down.
right?
Yeah, we just beat them like a rented mule.
Kevin
Am I allowed to
Haller.
say that?
That would have been 96 because they didn't have any.
You're right, and then we played them in 97 with Gretzky in kind of one of the last hurrahs.
Yeah.
And we beat them 4-1 that year. Just smoked them. And it was really cool. I had Graves, Gretzky, and Messier. That was kind of like what was coming at us.
Jesus.
I mean, thank God it wasn't the 87 version of that.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know what I mean? You do what you do, and you handle what you handle. And but yeah, that's what it was. I mean, listen, I love the Garden. I love playing there. It was so fun.
It was a vibe, right?
You're just walking off of Broadway, through all these people who have no idea who you are, and you're just walking to work like anybody else, except your work is in an arena on the fifth story of a building. It's just unbelievable.
It's crazy, too, for us, for our jobs. We go in there now, and the press box is now hanging from the ceiling.
It is. Yeah.
That ceiling's the landmark. We can reach up and touch it. Like, it's bizarre sometimes.
Yeah.
It is. But, yeah, I've had a lot of great success. I've seen some funny stories. We played a lot of great players. I mean, New York, New York's New York, man. But I'll tell you what, the Islanders, the Devils, are not the New York Rangers. It's about New York, man. It's getting right into Manhattan, right in that dark and dingy city after hours and getting in there. And I'll tell you what, you get all kinds of characters showing up there. So it's New York, baby.
One of my favorite of your memories in your memory bank is 2012. You playing in the alumni game against Ron Duguay and a bunch of the Ranger fans, if I recall.
You know what? That was great.
Was a good one.
Yeah, that was great. And of course, alumni now, so it's a whole different thing. But a lot of good memories for the Flyers Rangers, and I think that will always exist. Always exist.
So you're looking at a lineup today here as we get back to what we're dealing with today without Travis Konechny. But they do get Tyson Forrester back. And, one of the interesting things that had kind of come out of the last couple of weeks with him being out is John Tortorella talking about how he misses having him on the bench. I think a pretty good compliment for a kid that's just coming along in his career and is having a great growth year.
That's a really great compliment for sure. Yeah, I mean, he seems positive. He seems like he's a happy guy when he's on the bench. That means something, say instead of some guy sitting there looks like he's fretting or worried about the next shift. He looks like a guy that's a happy hockey player. Believe me, that is a meaningful thing, when you just want to go out and play and do the right thing. So
yeah,
I welcome him back into the lineup today, and they'll have to figure this out and sort it out without Konechny. But that's why, the adage in hockey is that, next man up adage. If you guys out, someone else has got to step up the best they can.
Buddy, let me ask you about Forster, because one of the things John Tortorella said that he did have to do some coaching in regards to Forster wasn't his play without the puck, wasn't his board battles. It was his body language. There was some frustration where he wanted to snap a stick at one point because he was unable to convert a goal. That body language, and a positive body language or a negative one for that matter, can have an impact on other guys. Why is that so important? To keep yourself and your body language under control as often as you can. Sometimes you can't control it, and you have to just snap a stick, go down the hallway, whatever it might be. But it is important for young players to be able to control their emotions, I guess is the best.
Yeah, that's actually a good word, Jason. Controlled emotion, rather, because people want to see that. You don't want to, a coach doesn't want to see a younger guy, tip his cards to the other team, showing that he's frustrated, because that's when other guys will jump on the opportunity to continue to provoke you if that's what it takes. I don't see a lot of that, to be honest with you, but I mean, obviously, Coach Tortorella is around it a lot closer than I am. I think it's on the other side of that. I think it's okay to show you're ticked off sometimes too. And if you had a rough shift, so I understand what John's saying in one point, but at the other side, there's sometimes nothing you can do because you are mad at the shift you had or you're frustrated, and unfortunately, the only thing you can take it out on is your stick. That's it.
I guess there's a difference maybe between being, angry after a shift and then letting it affect the next shift.
Correct. You got to let that go. Yes. And that's a very, very good point, is to allow that to just die on the vine immediately, and so you don't carry it with you. The other thing too is you don't want to distract other guys. I mean, listen, I've come back to the bench 1,000 times where I've seen a guy get ticked off, and you don't take it personally. You just understand that's the way it goes.
That's a competitor.
Of course. There's no hard feelings, but I think, again, though, if you do it on a recurring thing and it's every game, and instead of just letting it go, then it's certainly something a coach could jump in on at that point.
Yeah, I mean, Donnie, you worked in this room that I work in down here, right off the tunnel. Just sitting here watching the end of a period, I've seen a guy or two walk into this room real calm, walk in, obliterate a stick, say "see you later," and go back out on the bench.
Yeah,
let me just blow up a $300 twig and head back to the bench.
I mean, a lot of times it's the stick's fault, right? You just have to move
always
on.
The stick's
you
fault.
have to move on from a stick.
The tools.
You have to euthanize it to make sure the bad mojo's gone. Then you move on to the next stick.
If the stick can't receive the good hands that is put on it, it's the stick's fault. Receive the talent of these soft as chocolate pudding mitts on them. It's the stick's fault.
Before we get to our next break, Bundy, last question before we get to that break, and we talk about the line combinations. How important, I mean, it's always important in a game to jump on your opponent. But in this situation, we know these Ranger fans have come down here. Last year, they flat out took over the building. And when they scored, it sounded like a Ranger home game. It was embarrassing for a lot of people, ourselves included. And it was a huge storyline. To shut them up today and not to let them get started is to get a good start in the game.
It is, without forcing it, because the one thing you don't want to do against New York is give them offense through turnovers. So, have a game, but I always say, Jace, you can't really come out in the game saying, hey, obviously you want to score first, but you can't say we are going to score first. You can put your best effort, but you can't predict necessarily if there's going to be, the other goalie is going to make 5 just 10 bell saves off the go, where you should have a 2-0 lead, but you don't. What you can do is be at your very best to work hard And to do Tim Saunders going back there.
It's the benefit of being up here.
Yeah,
we got a Tim Saunders sighting.
Yeah, and another one of my old partners. I got partners everywhere around. And so instead of what's Smitty?
What? I just said nothing. I didn't say a thing. What were you talking about?
I don't even remember anymore. See Timmy come up here and disrupt. What were we talking?
You can do that.
Yeah.
Small in stature, big in distraction.
Yeah. So the first goal. So you know what? I have a competitive start. That's always what I feel is a better thing to say. Let the Rangers know it's your home game, and that you're going to it's going to be difficult for them to play here today. That's the only messaging that you can afford yourself in a game. You can't guarantee the first goal. You can't guarantee a lead after the first. It might happen, but you can't guarantee it. The one thing you can guarantee is effort and determination, and get in their faces. You can do that. They can all do that.
Well, the Rangers have won 9 straight games. Let's take our last time out here on Flyers Game Day as we get ready for Flyers-Rangers, the first of 2 Metro Division matinee matchups coming up. We're back after this on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network.
Need a mirror. I can't see anything back there.
How long do we have? I'll be right back.
Just you got about 90 seconds at least.
One Diamonds Club, just off Delaware Avenue and just out of this world. Delilah's, where body checking is a way of life. Details now at delilahs.com.
Get ready. This week, Staples has deals so good, you're going to want to sit down. Are you sitting? I'll wait. Great. Right now, during Staples Sit-a-thon, you can save up to $180 on select chairs. That's up to $180 off desk chairs, up to $180 off computer chairs, and up to $180 off gaming chairs. So hurry into Staples now for the Staples Sit-a-thon and grab a seat or 2. Ends 3-2. In-store only. See associate for details.
If you've fallen out of love with your home, you just need a refresh.
10.
Contact CertaPro Painters and we'll put the power of Pro to work for you. That's CertaPro's power to transform living rooms and rejuvenate kitchens. The power to get the job done right, on time, and within your budget. Get that loving feeling back with the help of CertaPro Painters. Start your project at CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro Painters is
Brian Roberts.
Yes.
Home improvement contractor registration.
I don't know who he's with.
This is the Fanatic Flyers pregame show.
Mike's hot.
7-5, the Fanatic.
It's the Philadelphia Flyers and the New York Rangers set for their second matchup of the season. Rangers come into this game with the highest points percentage in the NHL at .693. Flyers come into this game 14th at .588. Flyers would love the 2 points here at home today and do not let the Rangers get to a 10th straight win. Bundy, it's Igor Shesterkin in this game for the Rangers in net. And even though Quick's numbers in smaller sample size have been a little better, it's Shesterkin today. And when you're playing against him, you got to be careful because he is a guy that will be a defenseman back there and start a lot of breakouts if you dump pucks that he can get to.
He can. He actually, for Russian, he does move the puck well. And usually they're not like that. So he can break the puck out. I don't want to say like a Marty Brodeur kind of guy, but he does move it well.
It, though.
He absolutely can. He can move it. And one of the reasons for that is because of the access to getting to behind the net for the puck. That's why Brodeur was so good in that they put those the lines in so the goalies couldn't play the puck there. But this will be definitely something to have to pay attention to. Hard rims would be the best with a good hard forecheck coming on the other side. And the other thing with the Rangers too, they move the puck pretty well. They move the puck well. Yeah, when they go back and get it. So we just actually had kind of guy come up right in my ear and ask me where his seats were.
The seats, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
you're an usher now.
See, I had like a headset on.
In mid-sentence.
There he goes. There he goes. That's great.
And again, I don't have the numbers in front of me, Jason. Maybe you do. But anecdotally, it seems like Shesterkin has been a bit of a flyer killer in his young career. They've had their struggles against him. And I guess from a standpoint of being the players on the ice, going after him, It's just a matter of a lot of pucks. Maybe you got to get a dirty goal or two, but again, jumping on them from the very beginning.
100%. That's what I said. Having that snarl at the beginning of the game is going to pay dividends for this team. But they have to do it without giving the Rangers any offensive momentum in this hockey game. And that's the trick. That's really what you want to do. Keep the skill guys, the high-flying skill players, as best you can. Keep them sorted out. I mean, you got a guy like Panarin with 32 goals, right? 46, 78 points. That's a lot of points for this point where you're at this point in the year. And then you got Kreider, a guy like Trocheck who's picked it up, Zibanejad who's been a real flyer killer. So you have other guys, and then there's players that if you leave them alone, they can hurt you too, like a Lafreniere. Matthew Fox has been great for this team. So they have good players, and it's backed up by their goaltender. But the Rangers will take what you give them better than most teams I've seen in the league this year. If you turn the puck over, they will prey on that. If you give them cheap power plays, they will make you pay for that. And you're going to have to really get to the paint to battle Shesterkin because he battles. And so you got to be ready to battle him as well.
Yeah, he's so good at his lateral movement. He's like a hovercraft.
He's unreal.
936 save percentage in 10 games against the Flyers, a record of 6-3-1. So you're going to have to put some traffic. Here's the line combinations. And let's get some thoughts on these as well, Bundy. Morgan Frost going to center Owen Tippett and Tyson Forster in his return to the lineup. And I would think that when you say next man up, that may be next lineup with Travis Konechny out of the lineup today. That line needs to chip in offensively big time.
I like that line, actually. Yeah, you know what? It's got a little bit of synchronicity. They got, like they're all Ontario guys. Just go out and play hockey. That's how I look at it. Yeah, I mean, get it. Just that's it. I mean, someone's got to fill the void, and if that's what they're doing, they get the luxury of having Forster back in the lineup today. Go out and play hockey. Have fun with that situation and go after it.
And then moving on.
Couturier.
Oh, yeah, go for it, Jay.
Go ahead, Brian.
Well, I was about to say, same thing you were. Couturier with Farabee and Atkinson.
Yep.
And again, the guys that are trying to get going. I mean, Farabee's had his moments with Morgan Frost over the last couple of games, but given the overall situation, sometimes you're forced into a combination you wouldn't have tried otherwise, and maybe it'll pay off.
Yeah, quite possibly. And I'm just seeing that it is 7 again, right?
Yes. 11 and 7.
11 and 7.
Yeah. Okay. So Stahl and Zamula are technically paired with Drysdale. So, yeah, I mean, you know what? You got to do what you got to do. I don't mind that second line, but there are situations today, like with Coots, he's going to have to play good defensively. Yeah. But at the same time, those guys are going to have to find a way to get to the net to try to score goals.
Yep.
Can't, like Coots, Atkinson, the message is pretty clear. Atkinson isn't out there to play defensive hockey. So, in turn, the Flyers are going to have to go. They're going to have to go north because both Farabee and Atkinson are, go to the net wingers. For me, when they're playing good hockey, and that's what they have to do.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting to a point here too, Bundy, with this Ryan Poehling, Noah Cates on the wing, and Garnet Hathaway is becoming almost a set it and forget it line. They've been really good together. You got some defensive responsibility. You got some big guys that can really clog the middle of the ice up and attack the middle of the ice as well. They've been good for the Flyers. Hathaway comes off that last game with a goal, the insurance marker in that last one as well.
He's been great. I mean, I just love the way he plays, competes hard every game, gives 110% effort nightly. Yeah, I mean, he don't take any crap out there. He plays hard. He does clog up the middle. I think a lot of those guys do a great job, really, at taking away. That's one thing I've noticed, Jason, is that when the Flyers are playing well, they really do clog up the middle of the ice. And they're going to have to do that here today because that's, I think, where the Rangers are the most dangerous because of the skill that they have.
And the other thing, too, Jay, that we've been hearing from John Tortorella is that, when you have a guy like Panarin out there, something like that, having two lines to defend them because of what happened, last time out when they lost Matthews during a change. So, that's Couturier and that's the Cates line there, probably tasked with those two things.
Yeah, it'll be a defend by committee type of situation for the Flyers. And I always think that's important. You can't be one guy or one center or one defenseman. It takes a group. And a lot of it, how you defend a guy like Panarin is containment. Any of those guys. The more that they're on the outside and the less they have the puck in the middle of the ice, the better chance you're going to have as a team to have success in a game like this. But it has to happen every shift. It has to happen like rinse, wash, repeat the whole night long.
York and Sanheim together, Sealer and Walker.
And then, as we said, it was Mark Stahl, Zamula with Drysdale, Ayerson versus Sheturkin. We've got Flyers, Rangers. Stay tuned. Tim Saunders, Todd Fedoruk have the countdown to face-off, followed by all the first period action. Right after this, you've been listening to Flyers Game Day on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network.